A new documentary makes us question the impact of Michael Jackson's life and legacy. Then Marvel, Jason Bateman, ghosts, and all the stuffs as Matt and I catch up on our TV show viewings. That and more on this episode of The Real Review. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. I'm here with Matt, burning so brightly. Hey.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about that.
Oh my gosh.
That trailer that was
Brightburn.
just released, Brightburn, yes, which you actually suggested to me. I had heard from a friend about it.
Yeah, and I told you to watch it.
Yeah, and told me to watch it, and then I went and I checked it out, and hey, guys, if you want a really freaky, slightly disturbing trailer to check out,
It's Superman
watch it.
meets Carrie.
Yeah, and it definitely feels that way. I think my only fear is that they're going to, because it's going more in the horror and kind of drama genre, they're going to skimp on the special effects.
Yeah.
And then it's going to end up looking really cheesy. But the trailer looks pretty freaky.
Yeah, it does. Looks good to me.
Pretty gnarly. So who am I? No.
Everybody, I am here with Joel Cunningham. And if you don't know what that is, that's the freaky music from the Us trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Another movie that's been
that movie is going to be so scary.
trailer.
I can't. It's hard to watch a trailer and not be freaked out.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do about that one because it looks awesome.
It looks more horror than Get Out was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looks awesome and it looks more scary, but I really want to see it because Get Out was such a good film. So I'm like, I don't know what to do, Matt. I might have to break down and go see it, but
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, you know me.
It looks scary.
I don't like scary movies. Well, anyway, getting right into things. As you heard correctly, Matt and I are going to be doing a bit of a kind of a special episode today. It's a normal episode for us, but we're going to be talking instead of about films because there just honestly really wasn't that much that came out significant wise. We're building up to Captain Marvel coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
Which we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, we're taking Megan, the contest winner, with us.
Yeah.
So that's going to be super cool.
So we're going to watch that. So we didn't really get too much releasing. I think a lot of people are just trying to be like, hey, Marvel's coming out, so let's maybe not release anything big right now.
Marvel has something. Everybody, get out of here.
Yeah, get out of the way. Here comes Marvel. But we're going to be talking about a bunch of content that we managed to watch on television. Leaving Neverland, which is a big one that's kind of making a splash right now for a lot of reasons. Not necessarily good, but big things. And Punisher and Haunting of Hill House and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into it now. Keep listening and you'll see what we're going to talk about. But Matt,
see what happens.
Before we get into that, why don't you give our listeners some ways to get connected?
Yes, y'all can get connected with us a number of different ways. One of those being our website, which is realreviewmedia.com, and you can connect through all of our social media platforms through there being Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is at Real Review Media.
Yes.
And then also youtube.com/TheRealReview, and you can email us anytime at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Anytime.
And you can do that. Ask us questions. Tell us your thoughts about a movie that you liked, want us to watch.
Or
shows.
Show, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Shows, yeah. It's been a while since we've done one of these show episodes.
Yeah, it has. And unfortunately, I'm just at a phase of my life where I am unable to watch as much TV as I used to. I used to be like proud of the fact that I could watch every like mainstream show
and stay caught up.
And still like be a good dad and husband.
I agree. It's
an employee.
Life is crazy. We're not paid to do this, so it's kind of hard to find the time sometimes because we have jobs, we have lives that we have to take care of. So, but we did have a couple shows in particular we wanted to talk about and things that I think have been impactful for us over the last viewing year almost since our last Tube Talk episode where we talk about shows.
Yeah.
I also want to just say, as a reminder, kind of Matt and I, the way that this works is Matt tends to be a bit more of like the fan, even when it comes to shows, more of like the fun and the emotion of the experience. I tend to be more of the critical, kind of analytical, breaking things down.
Right.
Grumpily, episode per episode.
Grumpity.
Exactly, grumpity.
Let's make a word, grumpity.
Grumpity-licious. Yes. That's how I am.
Okay, you're grumpity.
And then we put those together to give you kind of like two sides to the perspective. I don't think we're actually going to be giving like a percentage rating for most of these.
No.
We'll probably just kind of give over our overall experiences and whether we would say to watch it or not.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, I wanted to just go ahead and get going on the first one.
Let's do this thing.
Yes. So Leaving Neverland.
I didn't see this, but you did, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a chance to watch this. This was one that Well, I'll give you kind of like a brief little. I don't really have a synopsis for it, but it more or less documents the experience of two young men and their relationship, and at times, as documented in the movie, very inappropriate, very bad kind of relationship that they had with Michael Jackson. And it kind of goes over the course of using footage, using photos. It kind of documents the experience that they had with him for many, many years.
Yeah.
And both of them are people that are kind of in and out of his story and kind of are known as being associated with him. And I'd been hearing about it, and I'd been hearing little inklings of it kind of in media, and there's a lot of kind of, and I also don't want to like too gloss over or brush over the political side of this, or this is a documentary, so it's talking about real people and real things that happened. But this is a kid show, or not a kid show, this is a family-friendly show in a lot of ways. And so I'm not going to get too into depth in some of the things that are there. I would say that the documentary itself, due to the content and due to the things that it discusses on, is pretty much a really strong PG-13, almost like R-rated viewing experience because of the descriptive nature of it, due to the things that are actually documented in the movie.
Right.
Yes. So if you want to watch it, I would say maybe check it out first for yourself if you're an adult, and then if you want kids to watch it, very strongly caution you, just be aware of that.
Right.
My viewing experience of it was, I went home, I had a very long day, and I'd been wanting to check it out, and so it's a 2-part thing, and it had come out, and I watched the first part thinking, well, I'll check out the first part, and then
if it's good,
I'll continue. Yeah.
How long is each part?
About 2 hours.
Wow, so it's like a 4-hour journey.
Correct. It's significant viewing time. And I sat down, I watched, and I got done with the first episode at around like 1 a.m, and I was like, I have to watch the second part.
Did you watch it then?
Yeah, so I ended up watching it. I was up till like 2:30 in the morning watching this documentary. Yeah, because it was that compelling and that gripping at times. And I will separate as well, and I will say, for music and what you can listen to, Michael Jackson, I think, makes some great music and is very enjoyable as an artist. And I think what this was specifically trying to do was to say, there's been a lot said in a lot of different areas with this because of the court cases and the prior things that have happened. This was really specifically trying to just say, here's two people that have apparently had really, bad experiences, really illegal experiences, really horrible things happen to them because of Michael Jackson, abuse and manipulations and things like that, and just let them tell their story. And we're going to document it. We're going to give them the freedom, and then the inklings of the impact that it's had on not just their life, but in the people that are associated around them.
Right.
And again, I don't want to get into too much detail as far as the content that's actually covered and what's discussed. And you can decide for yourself after viewing it whether you feel like what they're saying is true or not, or how you want to take it. I don't want to decide that for you.
Was it one-sided? That's the big thing with documentaries, I feel like. Did it pretty have an agenda, and that was what I was going with?
That is one thing. Yeah, that is one thing that you're going to have to be just okay with, the fact that this is really only telling one side.
Yeah.
And I would be interested almost to have another there's so many documentaries out there about Michael Jackson and his positive impact, but even if somebody was able to put together something that specifically could maybe talk against or show the other side of this perspective, but it's difficult now because Michael Jackson's not around anymore, but it really tells you I don't know how they would accomplish that, because it's really just these two people, these two men now that are, more or less our age, telling their story of their interactions and their relationship with Michael Jackson, and very difficult to watch. It was very, even if it was lying, even if it wasn't true, it was just very emotionally impacting to just hear what it is that they were saying. If it would be true, then it was just really dark in a lot of ways. And so it's one of those movies that I watched, and like for the next couple of days afterwards, it's just left me with this like kind of dark feeling. It's kind of like ridden into stayed with me.
Your dark passenger.
Yeah, but very impactful. I can't say much more. Very gripping, very impactful. And to your point, absolutely, they did not really spend a lot of time giving the other side of the coin, giving the other side of the perspective.
Okay.
They could have probably interviewed people from his estate, people from, lawyers and like maybe employees or something, people that work with them that would disagree with these perspectives. But it would have been really hard because it's literally just two people kind of telling their story over the course of years. And so I don't know how they would have accomplished specifically giving time to talk about the specific things that are in this movie. All I would say is if you want to check it out, I think it's a worthwhile viewing experience if you're on board for something that's very emotionally difficult.
No, you got to be
dark.
I don't know. For me, I got to be like in the right mentality / mindset / mood to be like able to take on something heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy and it's a long docuseries on HBO. I mean, it's going to be up there for a long time. I think it actually premiered at was it Cannes or Cannes or I think it premiered at a film festival, but it's a docuseries. It's like a 2-episode thing.
Huh.
So I don't honestly know what to say as far as like what I can't give this like a rating even.
Yeah.
Not that I would because of this episode, but like I think it's impactful if you're in the right mindset to watch something that's gripping and compelling and might kind of change your perspective in regards to Michael Jackson. But yeah, to take it with a grain of salt, or that they're only really showing one side of things.
Me, being like positive and optimistic, like kind of like what you mentioned you're feeling. Anytime I watch something that's just kind of inexplicably or unexpectedly heavy, and dark and ends on like a down note, and those kinds of things, those stick with me for a while. And so I don't know if I want to watch it.
I don't honestly know if you would want, I think as well, because you've talked about the impact of movies and kids and parents and kind of the
it could be
the
tough.
Emotional tally that takes on you. So Matt, I don't know if this is a film for you. I don't know.
And my time is limited, and maybe I just want to watch happy things.
Well, you say that, but then
like
you go
Brightburn.
Exactly. You say that.
Or Us.
You watch all these dark and scary
I have a
movies.
feeling they're going to be potentially good at the end.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I would say it's definitely not a family-friendly viewing experience.
Okay.
Again, so if you're going to watch it, maybe just you and your wife, or just you.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So that's kind of all I'm going to say. I know that seems like very, very high level for us because I did not get into any content. As far as like production quality, that was, it's as good as could be expected for something like this. Music and sound design was good and what could be expected. I mean, it felt a little bit long at times, but they really tried, I think, to give you a full picture of the stories and not cut things around. And who knows? I know in documentaries, and I've seen this happen in many different ones where they just selectively edit things, but both of the guys that are in this are standing by it and saying that everything that is in this is
factual to what they said.
Gotcha. So
interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, with that, we'll move on to something kind of a little more lighthearted.
I don't know.
Well, less emotionally impactful.
And it's not real.
I would say, not real. That's a good way of putting it. So we're going to be talking about Punisher season 2.
Yeah. Okay.
This Marvel
Punisher.
property.
Punisher season 1, huge fan of. Probably still, it's probably tied for my favorite Marvel show season. That and Daredevil season 3. Those are like my 2 top ones. And I will say that this show, the second season for Punisher, is good. Not as good as the first season. Enjoyable. I didn't like the overall arc. I don't know if I was a fan of. I feel like there was no bad guy. Like there was the main bad guy of this Pilgrim character, and then they kind of had this they had the guy who was supposed to be pulling all the strings. Yeah. And that was very lackluster to me. That whole thing, I was like, I get that, but Corbin Benson was in it, and he's he's in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird. But anyways, I did enjoy it. I will say this every day. I think Jon Bernthal is the definitive Punisher. He is the best. And man, if he was let's say he was 15 years younger, they're getting ready to cast another younger Wolverine. I think he would be perfect for that.
I can actually see that.
Yeah.
He'd actually be a pretty good Wolverine as long as they didn't give him to the crazy hair. I think too much like they did in the first X-Men.
With Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, with Hugh Jackman. They kind of toned it down as films went by. Not that they would do that, but I think he just looked especially goofy.
So this was good. I think on an action element, I think it was excellent.
Yeah.
Because the first one was excellent. I think they keep the action pretty high up there for this one as well. So that quality is good. I just didn't care as much for the overall story arc, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there were some characters that were added this season. One particularly the young girl that her story just kind of felt lackluster.
Yeah,
and
I feel the same.
Wasn't very compelling to me, which is sad. But she was good as an actress and she acted well, but her story just kind of went nowhere for me. There was a lot of non-starters and I hate to say it like that way, but
Yeah.
there was non-starters of like the compelling drama that was moving our characters forward from season 1.
Yeah.
Specifically with Amber Rose Riva, I think that's her name. Her character Dina Madani. She felt like she was stuck in this like limbo thing.
Yeah.
And I get that's kind of what they were going for, but it made her character feel really boring and bland because she's just kind of, that wasn't resolved very quickly. That wasn't resolved very effectively. She's like slowly kind of trying to process this. And then she's dealing with this whole like, am I going to be like a good person, bad person type thing at times. Jonathan Bernthal was good.
You just call him Jonathan Bernthal?
John Bernthal. John Bernthal.
Hey, we're tight. We call him Jonathan.
Yeah. I agree. He does a great job as the Punisher, but I felt like he was such a vehicle, like such an empty vehicle in this season. I didn't really have a great viewing experience, I think, as the prior season. This one almost felt like there was this stuff going on and they need the Punisher to be a hammer, and he would just kind of show up at different times to be the hammer.
Yeah.
But he overall didn't have much of a role in the season. Like he didn't really seem to be there, be a necessary aspect of what was moving forward. The first season, him and his partnership with that guy,
Billy,
David.
Oh, David.
Was compelling and interesting, and they felt like they were kind of playing off of each other well.
Right. What happened to him? It was like his name was Micro or something, right?
Yeah, he just kind of disappeared. I mean, I don't know what they really did.
I know he's like with his family and stuff. I get that, but I do kind of like I know like Netflix canceled all these shows.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they're going to come back on Disney Plus. And if Punisher season 3 happens, I would love to see that like reunited. That would be cool.
I agree. Yeah. I think Billy's story was the most interesting of the season to me, and what he's dealing with and how he's dealing with it. But it felt like more of he should have been kind of a B story. Yeah. And then have a bunch of other things going on. And then eventually at the very end, tie him into the main plot somehow.
Right.
But he was just kind of everything about it was just kind of there.
They made him an A story when it probably could have been better served as a B. I think they could have fleshed out maybe the whole villain, John, the Pilgrim character, and Corbin Bernsen's
flesh that out better. Yeah. I thought it was cool, the idea of like, the Punisher taking on the Russian mob. That was cool. Yeah. I thought that was an interesting thing.
But
and
there was like only one like instance of that, like one thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And what the first season also did really well is that every character that played a role that was in a part of the story, you knew that they had reasons for being there, and there was an interesting feeling to where each and every one of them was going to go by the end of the season. This one just felt more like, well, you have these characters. Yeah. We started the story. We need to just kind of continue it moving forward.
Yeah.
So I was left very disappointed. I don't know overall.
I was disappointed that it wasn't as great in like every episode in the first season, with the exception of maybe like 5 or 6, or the 5th or 6th episode. I was kind of like, it slowed way down, but then just picked back up again. But this one, it was. I liked it, but it wasn't. And the things that like kind of made me excited again was like when it just got like super over the top, like violent. I was like, man, they're just really doing things on this show. Yeah. And then like the drama stuff, it would kind of just slow way down. But anyways,
yeah. So that's kind of what
it was good. Not as good as the first one. Like the first one was great. Mm-hmm. This one was okay. Okay. Kind of good. Yeah.
I didn't take much from it. So we'll move on then.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's get into one that you had a chance to see, and I did not at all for a lot of reasons.
Let's talk about this this movie. It's kind of like a movie. It's like a 10-hour movie. So this has been out for a while, guys, and all these shows that we're talking about have been out for a while. Part, But I really wanted to talk about The Haunting of Hill House, because this show was really something else, something that I really haven't seen as far as is like a horror television show. It's really one thing that I think that this show has going for it is not only is it scary, but it's really good drama. One thing about any like scary subject matter, whether it be like film or television, that kind of medium, is a lot of times they play it for the scares, and that's what a lot of bad horror movies do. They play it for the scares, like let's try and see how many scary things we can get to jump out and do different things. This is like, it's more of like a drama as a primary and horror as like the secondary, and you follow this family and their past, and their interactions with Hill House and where they're at now in the future, and how that's still like been following them. Mm-hmm. And it's really terrific. There's some times where I was just like heartbroken for some of these characters. For you people out there, season 1, but episode 5, there's a revelation that happens. I was like, what? And then in episode 8 is probably one of the scariest things I've seen ever, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I tell this story to everybody, but I was watching it and I was rocking my like 3-month-old at the time. And I'm watching on my TV because I was the only one in the house. I was taking care of the baby. And I was like, all right, cool. I never watch anything on the actual TV. It's usually like streaming on my phone or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm rocking them and this thing happens. And it scares me so bad. I'm like, I go, oh dear Lord. And like, I was like, ugh. And like I had to take a breath and take a beat. It was so scary.
Yeah.
It was one of the best jump scares I've ever experienced in my life. Well done. And the ending's controversial for people, meaning that some people just didn't like it. I thought it was fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
And we just found out that recently, over the last month or so, they're going to renew it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an anthology series.
Okay.
So the next season's going to be kind of in the same vein as like an American Horror Story.
Right.
It's unrelated.
Yeah.
But same vein, long form, 10 episode arc of whatever it is. And I'm excited. I was really, really happy with this. And for the people that I know in my life that like thriller and horror genre, which actually isn't a lot, I tell them about this. I'm like, I recommend this. It's really good.
Yeah, it's funny. You're not the kind of person that jump scares easily.
No. Oh my gosh.
So it definitely set me off a little bit. Like, this might be a bit scary for me.
It was so good.
I tried watching, this sounds ridiculous, but like just to get an idea of what the show's about, I tried watching just like the intro for episode 1, the first little bit of the scene, and just as the scariness of it is happening, I was just like, nope.
I'm good. See you guys.
I'm good. Yeah. So,
anyways, highly recommend it for you horror fans. Thriller. It's more horror than anything. Well, drama too. Great drama, but I recommend it highly.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I maybe will do my best sometime to kind of
okay. Yeah, you probably won't.
That in. Yeah, probably
all right,
not.
Next show.
Next show. Another one, as we discussed, came out quite a while ago. This is Ozark Season 2. Season 2. Yeah.
I only made it through halfway of season 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Season 1 for me got a lot better as it progressed.
Okay.
It started off a little bit. It had enough interest for me with Jason Bateman's character, and it's kind of this both fish out of water mixed with kind of like Breaking Bad type feel. It was a bit slow. The pacing was a bit slow. The characters were a bit kind of somber, and it was kind of dark.
It was dark and heavy for me.
It was very dark and heavy. Yeah. But enough was there for me. I don't mind too dark and heavy personally that I wanted to keep watching. And by the end of the first season, I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Really good ride, really good characterization, really good motivations and story arcs, and simple but complex at the same time is the way I would almost word it.
Okay.
Season 2 started off and just jumps right in to kind of where we left things off with season 1. And there's this thing called like the second season slump, which is kind of common for a lot of television shows. Their second seasons are always kind of more of like a dip. This one did not feel that way at all. If anything, this one kind of heightened and grew the stakes of the first season in a very complex and interesting way. Yeah. There's a couple additional characters that kind of come in, and then there's recurring characters that become more a part of the season. And everything that kind of was there felt realistic. And I think the thing that's so twisted to me in a way is that this is a Breaking Bad story, but it's like applied to an entire family. Yeah. Whereas with Breaking Bad, it was just one character mainly, Walt, who's kind of this good guy turning bad. This is in a way an entire family going through the Breaking Bad experience and how that's impacting even the kids, in bad ways, because they're very aware of the events that are transpiring. Not all of the events, not all the craziness, but a lot of the stuff that's taking place. And so the action is every time there's like an action-y type, and it's not like action, it's more of just like tension resolved with violence. That all felt fitting, and there's things that were left unresolved in the first season that play a huge part in the second season. Characters that were like done away with, that their family members are still recovering from. And so I will say, if you liked the first season at all, maybe not for Matt, but like for other people.
Yeah, so there's select shows that I've tried watching, and I had to stop just because it was so heavy and so dark. Sons of Anarchy was one of those too. But I was like, I cannot. It just makes me just so sad, and it's anti my personality. Everything. I just want to like go watch Care Bears or something after. Just to be like,
yeah, that's kind of no. I completely understand. I get that. It's kind of you have to be willing to embrace a certain view and mindset for a certain period of time.
For sure.
And I like that most of the time. I have a good enough life. I feel like that I can enjoy this darker type stuff.
It's good that you can.
Yeah. So I would say it's an improvement for me from season 1. I think things are even better.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you like that stuff, check it out. Go for season 2 if you haven't had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, cool. Then we're going to move into what I believe will be our last
last thing here, and we're really just talking about one episode, yeah?
Yes, the Umbrella Academy, which is...
I almost thought you were going to say the Umbrella Corporation.
Oh, yeah, that one right there. Yeah, the Umbrella Corporation. The Umbrella Academy, this one came out for us, compared to the other shows recently.
Yeah, more recently.
Last couple weeks. It's got a pretty large cast. There's not a lot of people that I necessarily recognize, except for
Ellen Page.
She's kind of the big name in it. It's based upon a Dark Horse comic that has been out for a little while.
Didn't know that until just now.
Okay.
Thank you.
It documents the story of this kind of hodgepodge of adopted children with special powers.
Right.
And they fight crime and they kind of investigate different things. And they've kind of, in this series, I haven't read anything about the comic, but in this series at least, they've grown up.
Yep. And
they're coming back together with all these sets of issues and problems. And now trying to get them resolved after the passing of a close person, a loved one. What were your initial thoughts and feelings?
Okay, so I thought I liked it, and I think I liked it because it was like quirky a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a scene, and it's in the trailer, but like you don't get a sense of like the camaraderie that they had, and I'm sure it gets better because I've only seen the first episode. There's like 9 more I haven't seen yet, but I think that there's a scene that really makes me think, okay, there's this unity here. They don't show it outwardly, that they were relays, that they're technically all, siblings.
Yeah.
It's a scene where like music comes on, they all kind of start dancing and doing their own thing. Like, oh, this is like this unifying thing. And it's a really quirky scene, and kind of strange a little bit. But I really like that element of it. There's also some flashback scenes that I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of how they worked. It's like the X-Men, basically.
Yeah.
But the main guy taking care of him is very like controlling and demanding and like kind of not nice. But I liked it. I want to keep watching it. I just have not had the time. So
yeah, to me, it felt like a simpler version of Legion. In a weird way, style-wise and tone-wise, there's a lot of quirkiness.
Well, Legion is going to be the weirdest thing that anybody's ever seen in that Marvel universe.
Yeah, I mean, on a scale of 1 to crazy, like full-on, Legion's like full-on crazy.
Yeah.
This one's kind of like crazy at times.
Yeah, exactly.
And they try to, I think, use it more purposefully in this one.
Yeah.
There was something about it as well that it felt like, maybe because they weren't fully embracing some of the quirkiness or something, it just felt a little bit like it was a try hard type thing.
Right.
Like, we're going to try and make this quirky and
there were a couple of CW moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
The characters are interesting,
yeah.
I would say, but at the moment I haven't really connected in. I'm only at the first episode, and I usually like to give shows at least 3 episodes of something before I really can give a good up or down vote on it. I will say it's not headed in a great direction at the moment for me.
Sure.
And to the point where it was like, okay, well, I can put this on the back burner to catch up later.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that seem to be listening or watching it.
There's a lot. I've talked to a lot of people personally that are like, I love it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess it's like if you want a Legion type show that's more accessible.
Yeah.
Then maybe you could suggest something
Legion
like this.
is so freaking bizarre. But it's good.
There's so many scenes. It's like they'll just break into song and dance.
Yeah,
and you're just like, what is going on here? And who's this guy?
And then you're like, April Ludgate.
Yeah. You're like all these different people. Who are you?
By the way, guys, I finished Parks and Recreation. It was very emotional last episode.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Very I mean that realistically. It's actually pretty touching send off. The cool thing about that show is they ended it, but then they're like, nope, 1 more season.
Yeah.
And then that last season was actually really good.
Yeah.
It
is. I did like it too.
It didn't feel like an
okay, so that's what happened. I didn't understand that. So they had
the time jump.
Yeah, there was a time jump.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they ended it. They
had the whole episode of Johnny Karate that made me super happy.
Johnny Karate was great. Yeah. And I think it's kind of touching because you didn't necessarily get that with The Office. Like The Office, you got a little bit of a time jump between the airing of the doc. And I'm only comparing it to The Office because it's made by the same like production team and everything.
And same style.
Same style and everything. The Office, you get like a little bit of a time jump. Yep. And they actually talked about recently doing, I think, a restart of The Office at this many years later from.
I heard something about that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that style's got to come back really soon.
Yeah, but it felt good with this one because they could the difference between like The Office and Parks and Rec was that why are we getting to Parks and Rec? This is crazy. We're going to talk about it.
Right.
But there is such a stylistic difference as far as like the craziness and the quirkiness. Parks and Rec was a lot sillier at times. Yeah. And so when they jumped to the future, they could incorporate silly things in it and it felt natural.
Yeah. All normal. That silly like future stuff was like pretty funny.
Whereas like with The Office, it feels like you would almost kind of need to let society just naturally age to the point where the characters would be really where they are now if we were going to restart it. But
100%.
Man, if they don't get like Jim and Pam in there and Dwight, then there's no way that show would go anywhere.
That's the thing is I think they can't do with the same characters. I think they just have to redo the whole thing because of Steve Carell.
Agreed.
He was really the heart and soul of everything in that.
Agreed. I don't think they're going to get Steve Carell either.
I don't think they will. But that's why I think they have to like redo something new. It can't be The Office. It's got to be something, but the same style.
Yeah, the Doctor's Office. Make it about a doctor. I'm just kidding. That'd be horrible. The
Crentist.
The Crentist. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so that's glad you so good a viewing experience for you there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And that's all we'll probably have to say about all the shows then.
Literally, that is everything that I have to say about the show.
There you go. So some ways to get connected to the podcast before we wrap things up. Again, reminders, realreviewmedia.com is our website where we post all of our episodes and place to get connected to those. We have our Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia, our Instagram, which are both at realreviewmedia, and then our email. If you'd like to email us about shows that you've watched, maybe you watched one of these shows, maybe you watched Leaving Neverland and you're still recovering from that craziness. Email us. Let us know your thoughts, perspectives, input. We'd love to hear that. realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Yes. So
totally.
That's it. We're going to be checking out Captain Marvel.
Yeah, tomorrow.
It's going
to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, it's been real.
It's been real.